welcome to this very special IBC Digital session, here to showcase how virtual sets and augmented reality are changing content production. And if any of you that know me that this is a subject very, very close to my heart and very much so important in our worlds of production, virtual production, XR production, and live remote production, and so forth. My name is Muki Kulhan. I'm a regular speaker at IBC and part of the IBC Accelerators, and I'm very proud to host this session for you today to kick off the new year in a positive direction, of course. With me today, we've got Paulo Ferreira, live from Lisbon, Portugal, who's the Global Sales Director at wTVision, and Miguel Churruca, who is coming to us from Madrid, Spain, the Marketing Communications Director at Brainstorm Media. Hello, Paulo. Hello, Miguel. Happy New Year.
Hi, Muki.
Happy New Year.
How are you?
So good to see you guys. We, of course, like so many of us, we were meant to be together on the show floor in Amsterdam at IBC, but of course, safety first. So we're very glad that we have this chance to talk to each other together, no matter what, and we'll see each other later in the year in 2022, of course, no doubt at all. So let's get cracking into it, guys. Paulo, do you mind please introducing yourself and tell us what you do and your role in our worlds of virtual sets and AR in content production, please? Thank you.
Sure, of course. Well, as you spoken and very well, my name is Paulo Ferreira, and I'm the Global Sales Director of wTVision. wTVision is a graphic company. It's a software company that develops products and provides services. The AR and the virtual is based on our daily basis, is present on our productions. Actually what we do is try to enhance what is the global broadcast production with new elements, innovative elements, elements that allows to tell the story in a different way, and also to generate new sources of income. So basically this is brief introduction of myself and the company that I work with.
Fantastic. Welcome, Paulo. We're very, very happy to have you here today. And hi, Miguel. How are you? Tell us a bit about yourself and what you guys are up to over in Spain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Miguel Churruca, Marketing and Communications Director for Brainstorm. And although we are in Spain, we're a global company. We've been 30 years in the business of creating virtual sets and augmented reality from starting in Valencia, Spain, and Madrid, which are our main bases, but with subsidiaries in some other places of the world. And as I mentioned, we've been like 30 years in the business as a software company, creating all sorts of virtual production, starting from augmented reality, virtual sets, all in the 3D environment, because I mean, we live in having interesting worlds for our customers so they can enhance their content and enhance their storytelling at any time.
And let's get straight into the discussion here, guys. I think it's, we wanted to talk about, not only virtual production, but virtual production in sport, and knowing, this P word, the pandemic year, it's now folded into 2 years with 2020, many parts of 2021. And we do know how much virtual production has changed in the way we create things and, how we get together with our crew and what happens in post-production. But Paulo, maybe starting with you, do you want to tell us a bit more about how, AR and augmented reality and these types of virtual production has maybe somewhat revolutionized for the better on how we create, especially when so much is happening behind closed doors?
Yes, sure. Well, we do a lot of sports. Actually, more than 7,000 production days of sports all over the world. And with the pandemic situation, the first thing that happened, well, first of all, was the need of not having so much people on the stadium, so try to do production in a different way. And the other effect on the pandemic was, and let's talk about soccer, football, which is something that everybody knows. Suddenly, the games were played with no one on the stadium, with empty stadiums, and that has created several issues. The first one is that the entertainment come down, so it's very sad to see a football game with an empty stadium. So the first thing to address was how to get the game interesting for the viewers at home at the same and keep the emotion. So the first thing that AR contribute was to create different content to tell the story and to make the game amusing as well. The second challenge was to try to bring people to the stadium, and AR has some role on that, using Skype or other communication and putting some virtual walls, bringing people into the stadium in a virtual way. And the
Right.
third vector that was important is how to get the sponsors and the brand that were used to sponsor and to support and generate revenues for the clubs and the teams, how to get that revenue in a different way, and how to get the brands in the stadium in a different way. And that was the third goal that was important, is to try to change a little bit the way that the business was done and generating revenues anyway. So that was the experience, and that was our challenge, is to try to create content and using technology to solve those issues.
Exactly. And then how was the reaction with brands when you were first of all, when you first proposed an offer such as, virtual brand integration? And can you give us some more detail on maybe a specific case study that was a success for you?
Well, we started to fill the stadiums with different stuff. One example was La Liga, the Spanish league that was empty, and all the stadiums were with virtual crowds and with brands, and the reaction was quite positive. There was one thing in some countries, which is the regulation. So in some cases, it's not possible to put brands on the seats or or whatever. So the first thing was not related to us, was the clubs and the organizations to discuss how to change the rules in order to be able to do different stuff. But the brands itself were quite open to this, because they had to be present. They used to have 100,000 people in the stadium, and suddenly they don't have no one. Everybody was at home, so the audiences of the games were pretty higher, because no one has nothing to do except sit and watch the game. So it was important also to address different brands to different countries in a virtual way and generate different revenues. But I think the reaction was quite positive, and now that the world is becoming the new normal, as I call it, and we have people on the stadiums again, but the business will not be the way that it was before COVID, because now the brands are much more aware of what they can do, and actually the teams as well, and the clubs, and are looking for new sources of revenue and new sources of entertainment and fun engagement. So things will continue to grow in a different direction, for sure.
Yeah, so it's a great story that's happening all around the world, where the moment of panic of almost having to think about shutting a business down or cancel all of these productions, and suddenly it pivots. So it's kind of a careful what you wish for. Now the brands are expecting it. There's a certain level of expectation. I mean, congratulations, you managed to make that pivot a success. And same for you, Miguel. Do you want to touch a little bit on your take on how augmented reality, just kind of sticking with the same topic here, how augmented reality has specifically worked for you in your cases when events and sports have not had their doors open?
Well, actually, to say that what the pandemic has supposed for virtual reality, virtual production in general, and live events and augmented reality, is that it has accelerated quite intensely the evolution of this content creation inside the broadcasters and live events companies. Because although, I mean, this technology has been here for years and is now pretty much mature, but the experience of being live or being in a physical event it's quite different, and it's the normal thing, or it was the normal thing. Now it's not, and we had to face the reality that we need to do something else to be in events and to cover events, sports events, or any other live production in a very different way. For instance, we have the Olympics this year, and they were a different Olympics, and most of the customers faced with the impossibility of being on site and had the opportunity to do things in a virtual way using virtual production and augmented reality. For instance, we've been partnering with Move to create the BBC coverage for the Olympics. In this case, I mean, they managed to do all the coverage from the Olympics in a live manner, but from Salford, UK, which is
Yes.
quite impressive, and also
Yes.
all the setup and all the content. Yeah, indeed. So all the setup, all the creation, all the content was done in the UK, but the appearance for the spectators and for the audience is that they were in Tokyo, which is quite impressive. But I think it's a trend that we'll see increasingly used with broadcasters and any other live event company in the upcoming years, because they had to test it in real life.
Exactly.
Before the pandemic, it was, oh, we can do this, but I mean, we'll send the crowd over and do the things in there and use some kind of virtual technology to cover it up. But now the main show had to be done virtually.
Right. And I love the fact that, we're talking about a place that I know very well, Dock 10 in Manchester, where, another part of the home BBC North almost. But the fact that you're able to create a virtual crowd, get fans excited. They're real, but they're still fans, and fans at home can still be a part of that. I mean, Miguel, maybe just sticking with you, can you just touch a little bit more on how that was created and what was the virtual crowd solution?
Well, we've done virtual crowds in different ways, but we haven't touched that as much as Paulo had done and Paulo's company have done in these events, because it is a specialized solution for something that covers a need. I mean, there's having a real-like event, so you can feel the people and you can feel the noise and you can do the whole thing. But in most of the cases, our goal was not to create such crowds, but to enhance the whole storytelling to provide a good audience for the people at home.
Yeah, I mean, what ultimately you were able to reach people, and like you keep saying, what I love what you guys are talking about is, it's part of telling that story and using these tools and techniques to really, really keep fans engaged and, keep that story continued. So it never really ended. So a sporting event can still go on, even though there were minimal physical people in the room, in the building, in the stadium. We're able to, I mean, Paul, do you want to pick up from where Miguel left off on some of that virtual crowd, the importance of the virtual crowd, and maybe a little bit more on how that was created?
Well, there are we worked in two kind of virtual crowds. One was to bring people from home to the stadium virtually. So we created virtual walls and we put real people on the seats. So actually people were at home, but were seeing themselves on the TV like they were on the stadium looking at the game. So that was a pure fan engagement that through a method and using augmented reality and one communication tool that doesn't matter what it is, could be Skype or any other, bringing people to the game. That was really important. Also bringing people to the giant screens of the stadiums for the players itself feel some of the emotion that they were missing actually with the empty stadiums. And the other solution was actually filling the seats that were empty with virtual people that doesn't exist, to give a feeling at home that the stadium was not empty. So the viewer at home could see the colors, the movement, the excitement that actually didn't exist, and mixing that with the brands that were supporting all those actions. Technologically is not rocket science. It's not easy because the stadium is big and the seats are small. So actually, the modeling of the stadium and the calibration of the cameras and all of that should be actually well done because it's very small spaces. But then it's producing augmented reality and virtual graphics after a good design and good testing. And we could use our technology, or we could use our partners' technology to do that. And actually, the La Liga was probably the most seen case, with all the games being broadcasted with virtual crowds and brands and everything on the stadiums that, after all, were not empty anymore because of this.
Exactly, and I suppose the only people really possibly missing out are the players, who don't get the buzz of the stadium and the crowd and the actual noise and the energy that's feeding off of them. So maybe the solution coming into this year in 2022 is to genuinely put the walls inside the stadiums for the players to absorb, and another virtual stadium fillers, I suppose. There we go. We can go into business on that one. How's that? I think.
Well, I have to say, if you don't mind, I have to say,
go ahead. Please.
Yeah, it's difficult because we don't see each other in the room. But anyway, no, I think that this fan engagement that Paulo mentioned is also useful in any of the event. For instance, one year ago, I mean, in the New Year's Eve, in the celebration of the 2021 New Year in Spain, I mean, the typical thing called, in the Puerta del Sol in Madrid, in the center of Madrid, I mean, people gathered together and they filled the square. So that was impossible last year, of course, and it will be impossible this year. And what we did in conjunction with the Spanish television, the public television, was to retrieve fan pictures from Zoom or any other social media, so we can fill the square with all the people that send their pictures. So they were looking at them while the camera was traveling through the square. So it was quite a nice thing. And quite, it's another way of fan engagement. It's just going over from stadiums to a different event, a fun event, to say that way.
Exactly. I think we could probably have another breakout session just on fan engagement. What do you guys say? Should we do that later this summer in real person? I'll come to Spain or Portugal. Maybe that'll work.
That'll be great. We can do it physically as well.
Definitely. IRL, in real life, all the way. I'm all about that. Safety first, though. But let's stick with the fan engagement. Really, it's such a circle that, within live events, you need the talent performing, you need the fans there, you need, obviously the production teams. I want to loop back a little bit again to Paulo and Miguel, maybe jump in anytime, guys, about, what the brands expect. So AR solutions specifically about, really helping broadcasters find the right solutions for advertisers. So it's like intuitive advertising insertions. Can you guys give a little bit of a case study each, maybe, on how an intuitive advertising insertion through augmented reality was a success for you?
I can start with this, and I give two examples. One of the examples was that, for instance, in Canada, with the Canadian League, we used a lot putting the brands on the stadium and having animations with those brands, which was something that was not needed before the pandemic, because the actions were much more physical in the stadium itself. Then we need to convert that into a virtual way. And one of the curious things and the good ones is that for years, the agencies and even us as a service provider was speaking with the clubs and with the leagues and saying that virtual advertising and putting virtual brands in the stadiums or in these sports events was a great idea. It doesn't have so much effort, doesn't have physical needs, and you can have all the creativity that you want to give the storyboard that the brand wants to tell and wants to sell, and no one listened so carefully. And with the pandemic, there was no other way to do it, and now no one wants to talk about any other stuff because it comes to stay.
Right.
Another example, a short one in the Portuguese league, is some of the graphics and are sponsored by some brands, and one graphic can be sponsored by one brand, and another graphic can be sponsored by another brand. Performance data, like how many kilometers the player ran, where he was on the field, could be sponsored by a brand which is related to performance, which is related to one of the which is related to that information, and another kind of graphic which tells another stuff on the game could be sponsored by another brand because it relates to that content. So it came to open the door for personalization, brand personalization, which is quite important in my opinion.
And this is during the live matches.
This is during the live matches mostly that I'm talking, which is when the audience is at maximum, because in the pre-game and in the post-game there are plenty of stuff that you can do, but there is not so much people watching. But then you have the studio shows, and on the studio shows it's a completely different business, not only with the AR but also with virtual studios that were used much more than it was used before, because you can have less people, smaller spaces, and virtual scenarios. Even because in those times, physical events couldn't happen. Like something that the league does, which is delivering the best scorer, the best player, the best referee, the best team. So those physical events couldn't happen, and they have to become virtual events, with everyone entering from their homes, receiving the trophy from their homes, but using virtual studios and the technology to bring people together again to a virtual environment. So all of these played a very special role during these times. And then the brands will discover, or have discovered, that things could be done in a different way, saving money, saving time, having more efficiency, and the results in the end were near the same and with new sources of revenue.
Yeah, I mean, which is fantastic. It could keep that business model going. I mean, Miguel, did you want to jump in there?
Yes, because I mean, I think it provides flexibility for both for the event provider and also for the sponsors, because sometimes we can have different sponsors for different countries. I mean, if the event is transmitted, is broadcasters to many different countries, we can provide virtually different signals and different advertisements, or different virtual production for each country, depending on the supporting sponsor in each country, if it's the case. And also, the augmented reality is not only because of the thing of the sponsors, it also provides new ways to tell the story and to enhance the content. For instance, we've done things with the Italian Football League for this kind of openings that happen in real time in stadium, but also with WWE, for instance. We've been working for years in the US to provide augmented reality openings for the performers that are entering the stadium. So they have their whole setup for the people at the stadium, and a different and enhanced augmented reality setup for the people at home, which brings a new experience to these audiences.
Yeah, I just, because we wanted to kind of really, touch on that as well, kind of very naturally next in our kind of line of topics to cover here. But let's get a little bit nitty gritty on exactly how augmented reality enhances the storytelling. So for anyone that's watching out there that might not be familiar with these worlds of augmented reality and productions and at quite a large scale, Miguel, I just want to kind of maybe stick with you on, these very specific ways that augmented reality enhances the storytelling aspects that are still so important in these productions.
Yeah, one of the important things of the augmented reality is that it can grow in terms of, not enhancing the content by itself being a fancy thing, but also it provides an in-context object interaction with the presenters. For instance, maybe in a sports game, or you're talking about sport, maybe the F1 championship or any football or basketball game, you have statistics, you have numbers, you have things to cover, you have the best scorers, some other things, and lots of numbers that need to be shared with the audience. Mm-hmm. And for a presenter, for a talent, it's quite easy to interact with the augmented reality stuff and provide a different content that is not just telling something, it's just telling something that is next to you. Mm-hmm. So imagine, the volcano thing. Some customers are creating information graphics using augmented reality that appear in the set with the presenter, which gives a different experience than just sending a video or a graphic. The presenter can be interacting with the object, can go around, and the object can be doing things at the same time that the presenter tells whatever is happening. And that is also applied to statistics and numbers. Huge mm-hmm. numbers are boring, but huge numbers, well told and in context, are fancy.
Exactly, and no doubt you're implementing some game engine elements with these graphics as well, and bringing them to life, which we can get into a little bit about the post-production as well. I mean, Paulo, are there any specific techniques close to your heart as well to really give us a good example of augmented reality enhancing the storytelling and the editorial and the content?
I think Miguel went straight forward to numbers. Numbers are boring, and getting numbers into a graphic is a way to tell the story in a very efficient way. We've been talking about sports, but there is an example. We provide services for a lot of elections. And on elections, the augmented reality graphics are a simple way and a very fast way to tell the viewer what is going on in terms of those elections, and to paint whatever in the covers of the parties, and to get the bars and to get whatever it is, to immediately you look at the television and say, okay, this guy is going to win, this guy has to do a corrugation, whatever it is, the information that you want to be fed in. It's important. On football, it's exactly the same. It's different to tell that the team has 10 shots to go, or mark the spot and the way that the ball went, because I can shoot 10 times the ball for very, very far away and going very far away from the goal, or I can have 10 decent shots near to the goal and with danger. So, and the AR immediately tells you that story in the way that you look at that graphic or that bunch of graphics and you say, okay, this is what is happening. And they are telling me in a very fancy way. And this is added value and good enhancement.
Exactly. I mean, numbers in sport and numbers in elections, you just want to make sure they're accurate and that data is there. And I think fans are I think we might be in data overload. We're in this age where there's so many numbers and things coming at us. And as a user, as a consumer, as a fan. And I think it is about using it, the quality over the quantity sometimes, and making sure that what you are providing to them, whether it is an election or football match or a talent show, for example, or anything else that you've been working on, that they're done right, they're done well, people are going to remember it, and they'll want to keep engaging with it. Because we're living in an age where our devices are getting even more smarter than they're already smart, super intelligent. We're going to be going into the era of AR glasses soon, 2022. I really hope this is the year. I've been rooting for AR glasses for about 5 years now, so I really, really hope this is the year that our partners in our technical worlds get it all together and try to produce something that can perhaps gain some mass adoption and democratization, which I think will really, really give us an even better conversation, Paulo and Miguel, than we're having now. Let's chat in 6 months' time. Let's get on stage at IBC and talk about the hardware that goes with it. But I think it is about that. What you're doing with the technology that you have and how you're delivering it to the fans. Let's just kind of stick on live events. Like, are you guys also dipping into virtual reality? How do you go about the pre-production planning into something like this? Back to you, Miguel.
Oh, well, it is important to coordinate very thoroughly all the requirements that you have to prepare in a live event. I mean, live events can be small or can be huge. And from a little conference to, I mean, this is a live event, actually, what we're doing at the moment. But it is indeed. And it can grow and grow and grow and become huge. And this means that you need resources, you need cameras, you need tracking cameras, you need render engines to take the signal from the tracking cameras, create whatever is required, put it all together. You need a storytelling, you need a script, you need people that runs all the things. I mean, a live event is as huge as it can be. It can be enormous. Mm-hmm. And that complexity, you may add, I mean, a football match can have 20 plus cameras very easily. An election may have 3-4 cameras, but huge number of feeds coming in and had to be put together and had to be displayed somehow. A virtual concert can have loads of cameras, views, and scenarios, and all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. So we basically need something to capture, something that knows where the camera is in the space, so we can retrieve that data, that's the tracking, and create the 3D space accordingly. We also need something that renders in real time, which is a huge thing, whatever is required to create that signal. But from that on, we still have the standard broadcast part. So we have the feed, and then we have to mix it, we have to produce it, we have to realize that what is going anywhere, and we have to output that. So there's a number of things, and also live events are becoming as complex as any broadcast program, because they can be huge as well. I mean, exactly. I think the boundaries between live events and the standard broadcast is being blurred because of the increased complexity of the live events, especially when we input virtual production, augmented reality, and data coming in, or data-driven graphics that enhance the content.
Well, we know, Miguel, this is a live event, and obviously it's quality over quantity, this one. It's just you and Paulo and myself, so three is the magic number, I believe, on this occasion, ladies and gentlemen. We touched on some pre-production. Let's kind of have a mini deep dive into the post-production. Let's talk about real-time post-production. One of my favorite things to talk about. Well, real-time, exactly. We're very familiar with Unreal Game Engine and Epic and Unity. We've been working closely with NVIDIA all year at the IBC accelerators for all of our support and a lot of the three magic letters GPU. But talk specifically, I'd love to hear from you guys. Paulo, back to you about virtual sets and real-time post-production. How is this changing the way that we are going to be going forward with production?
I think it's changing. Well, everyone is looking for the same, and I was, like Miguel was saying, that events or whatever event can be bigger or smaller, but everyone wants to be flexible, everyone wants to be scalable, everyone wants to be cost effective, everybody wants to have scalability in many ways. So basically the virtual sets and all the post-production and real-time post-production, what allows is to bring very of this flexibility that I was talking about. You can be in a set, and 2 seconds after you can be in another different set. You can bring people from other country to your production in real time without taking him or her from his own hometown. So every of these flexibility, it appears with the virtual sets and the virtual and the real-time post-production, and brings a lot of flexibility and cost effectiveness to the business without cutting the quality that in the past we don't have, or we didn't have in this kind of virtual sets, the chroma quality. As you said, the Unreal Engine came with the quality of sets near to the gaming, which gives a sense of reality to everything that can be done. So actually, this is everything that you earn with this. And this pandemic, what have done is that all the digital events or the physical events didn't happen, and companies, leagues, whatever shows had to change to a virtual world, and they find out that in the end it's a very good solution, more cost effective. You don't like the furniture, you change the furniture in 1 hour. You don't need to buy a new sofa or a new table. So that is it was really important, and I think really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Miguel, let's talk real-time post-production, virtual sets going forward. What are your deep thoughts on this?
Well, it's an interesting topic because with the arrival of Unreal Engine and Unity, as you mentioned, as the game engines into the broadcast and film production, we've seen a huge leap in quality, because I mean, they are all about rendering real time. So of course they have done faults, and we have to cover that. But in reality, they provide these game engines provide a huge quality for the viewers. Sometimes it's undistinguishable from reality. And for virtual production, this means that you can do real-time post-production in many chances. Previously, you were able to do green screen and then send the raw files and do some post-production and then look at them. Today, you can do that in post-production. Sorry, in real production, you can do that in real time. So the actors can see themselves in a huge screen immediately and see the performance. The art directors and the DOPs can see if the lighting is good. They can change the light accordingly. You can have a shot in the outdoors, let's say in a sunset, and make the sunset last forever, the whole day. If you can't have this flexibility, you need to shoot that for days, and that's money. That's actors' time, which is a lot of money. It's a crew time, which is a lot of money. It's traveling time, which is a lot of money. In reality, you can do that in a studio. Of course, you need to equip that accordingly. But you can have a sunset the whole day and perform that and make sure that that shot is perfect and is perfect at the end of the day, while the actors can see it in real time, which is great.
Exactly.
But on the other side,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. On the other side, it also provides new ways of enhancing the storytelling. Because of that, you can change things. You can change from one scene to another in minutes. You just have to drill some things, put over some lighting, and you have the new scene. You don't have to change props. You don't have to change the scenario. You don't have to change anything. It's a lot of money. It's flexibility.
Exactly. And I was just talking to some friends last week. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, talking about real-time post-production, you're almost doing that as you're doing the actual production. You're working on post-production as the real production, as the actual real-time production is happening. Do you agree, Paulo? Sorry, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, sure. I was saying that actually a lot of companies, production companies that are working on entertainment or any other shows, are deciding to do a live to tape with real-time post-production. instead of recording, go to post-production teams, because it's a waste of time and a waste of money. If you have the technology allowing to do the corrections and to use all day sunny, like Miguel was saying, so it's much more cost effective to do live to tape than to do traditional production with traditional post-production. So it's quite again, flexibility, cost effectiveness is key.
Of course, and you still have the chance to add some post-production to that, because you still have the shot. You can have the shot separately. When we started to do pre-visualization for movies back in the year 2000, we did it in lower resolution, in the standard SD resolution, but that saved a lot of time for companies, because we were able to ensure that the shot was perfectly matched for post-production. Now we can shrink the production time, because most of the post-production is already done. I mean, all the chroma keying is done, all the acting is perfect, and also on top of that, you still can add post-production and shots and effects and VFX.
Exactly. And real-time production can also let you rapid prototype some of your AR graphics and the 3D models and things that you want to be doing to showcase in your stadium or in the election or in the studio and things like that too. So yes, I think, boys, we can be talking about this, I think, for hours, I believe. But since it is the beginning of 2022, I know have many more opportunities where we can regroup on this, maybe once a quarter, every couple months, because we know that this industry and, augmented reality, virtual reality, and real time and productions in the studio and in stadium spaces will be completely going in an upward trajectory, which is fantastic news for all of us in production and also those who are the talent and performers, and keep us all going, and most of all keep the fans happy. I'm afraid we're running out of time here, so last final words, little predictions, since it's the beginning of 2022. Paula, tell us what's in store and what you would like to be seeing in 2022 as far as AR in virtual sets.
Well, I like to be seeing what I am already being seen, which is customers motivated to do better and to use the technology, not to use technology, but to use the technology in a way that allows them to grow their business, to make their fans happier, and we like to be a partner in crime with our customers and our partners, which is trying to look at what are the challenges and use what is the best to achieve their goals. So I think the industry is pretty much aware that needs to move fast, needs to be clever, and we want to be there with them. Doing great stuff.
Look forward to seeing your success continue, Paula. And Miguel, it's the beginning of 2022. Tell us what you see ahead.
Well, I see a brilliant business opportunities for virtual production. I think it has evolved because of the pandemic, and the technology is mature enough, as I mentioned before, to become another tool for storytelling and for broadcasters to use. Not just a fancy thing, we're doing a virtual set, we're doing augmented reality, not for the sake of it, but because they feel they need to do that, or they feel they enhance the show by using this kind of technology, which is great.
Fantastic. Paulo Ferreira in Lisbon, Portugal, Miguel Churruca in Madrid, Spain, thank you so much for your time today, and I can't wait to meet you guys in person, hopefully at IBC 2022, if not before somewhere. And let's keep talking about augmented reality, virtual sets, real-time production, because this is the beginning. This is the beginning in our spatial production worlds. Thank you so much again for supporting IBC, everyone. My name is Muki Kulhan, your host today. And remember, you can watch this session back on IBC Digital. You can also check us out on socials at IBC Show. And thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.